My name is Mufti Menk, and today I want to share with you something that could truly transform your life. Every morning, Allah places a gift at your doorstep, a gift called barakah. What you choose to do after Fajr determines whether you embrace that blessing or let it slip away. The Prophet prayed for blessings in the mornings, yet so many of us sleep through the very hours that hold the key to our success, our peace, and our connection with Allah. Remaining awake after Fajr is not just about discipline, it is about trust, about awakening the soul, and about living with purpose. Stay with me as we uncover the wisdom of balance, the sweetness of faith, and the secret treasures hidden in the early hours. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so this reminder can reach more hearts. My beloved brothers and sisters, the morning is not just another part of the day. It is a divine gift, a window that Allah has opened for us, filled with light, filled with hope, and filled with opportunities that cannot be found at any other time. When a believer rises for Fajr, they are not merely waking up from sleep. They are stepping into a sacred moment of the day that carries the dua of the Prophet, a time when Allah has placed barakah. To waste those hours is to close your eyes while the treasures of blessings are being poured down. Think of it this way: when the darkness of night gives way to the first light of dawn, it is Allah showing us that after hardship comes ease, after silence comes renewal, after stillness comes movement. The dawn itself is a sign from Allah, reminding us that life is not meant to be stagnant. Every new morning is a reminder that He has given us another chance, another breath, another opportunity to make things right, to draw closer to Him, to seek His forgiveness, and to walk upon the path of goodness. And the very first thing He calls us to in that morning is Salah, the Fajr prayer, a shield for the believer and a source of strength. When you stand in prayer at Fajr, the angels of the night and the angels of the day witness it. Imagine that testimony recorded for you in the heavens, and when you conclude that prayer, you are given a choice. Will you seize the blessings of the morning, or will you turn away and fall back into heedlessness? Many do not realize that these early hours are when the mind is sharpest, the heart is softest, and the soul is most receptive. If you use them to remember Allah, to recite Quran, to make dua, or even to set the tone of your day with something beneficial, you will find your entire day flowing with ease, with clarity, with peace. But if you turn away from that gift, if you simply return to sleep without necessity, you may find your day heavy, sluggish, and empty of barakah. It is not that sleep itself is haram. No, sleep is a mercy from Allah. But when it becomes a habit to shut your eyes to the light that Allah has placed in the morning, then you are shutting your eyes to a gift that cannot be replaced later in the day. There is a reason why the Prophet asked Allah to place barakah in the mornings of his ummah. That dua was not random, it was filled with wisdom. He knew that the morning hours have the potential to change the course of your life, if only you would honor them. Look at the most successful people, not only in matters of religion, but even in matters of this world. You will often find that they begin their day early. They understood a principle that Islam has emphasized from the very beginning: the morning carries blessing. The Quran itself speaks about the blessings of dawn and the alternation of night and day. Allah has structured the world in such a way that productivity, clarity, and barakah belong to those who rise early, while heedlessness and loss follow those who waste it. So when you rise after Fajr and you resist the temptation to go back to sleep unnecessarily, you are not just making a personal choice, you are responding to the call of Allah. You are saying, Ya Allah, you gave me this time, I will not waste it. And Allah, in His mercy, will reward that sincerity with barakah in your health, in your wealth, in your relationships, in your knowledge, and in your soul. This barakah is something you may not always measure with your eyes, but you will feel it in the ease of your tasks, in the peace of your heart, and in the strength of your faith. How many times have you woken up late and found the entire day rushing past you, your tasks unfinished, your mind clouded, your heart restless? And how many times, when you have risen after Fajr and remained awake, have you found that even the smallest effort became fruitful, even the smallest dua brought peace, even the smallest act of remembrance filled your heart with light? This is no coincidence. This is the blessing of Allah. The morning is not just about productivity in the worldly sense. It is about aligning yourself with the rhythm of creation. The birds rise early, the earth awakens, the light spreads, and everything points to the greatness of Allah. When you choose to stay awake after Fajr, you are harmonizing with that rhythm. You are flowing with the mercy of Allah, not against it. That is why those who embrace the morning find an inner serenity, a tranquility that no wealth can purchase. My brothers and sisters, do not underestimate the power of these hours. A page of Quran recited after Fajr can stay with you the whole day. A dua whispered in the quiet morning can be the reason Allah removes your burden. A moment of reflection, of gratitude, of seeking forgiveness can open doors you never imagined. This is the divine gift of the morning. The one who honors it will see his life transformed, even if he does not realize how. The one who wastes it will struggle, even if he cannot explain why. Allah has given you a key that unlocks barakah, and that key is the morning after Fajr. Do not throw it away. Do not trade it for the fleeting comfort of sleep that only leaves you weaker. Trade it for the everlasting blessings that accompany you throughout your day and into your hereafter. So the next time you rise for Fajr, remind yourself, this is not just another morning. This is a gift from Allah, wrapped in light, filled with barakah, waiting for you to open it. What you do after Fajr determines whether you honor that gift or let it slip through your fingers. And remember, those who honor the gifts of Allah, Allah honors them in return. Closing line. May Allah grant us the strength to value our mornings, to honor His blessings, and to live each day in the light of His mercy. My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a secret that many overlook, a treasure hidden in plain sight, a key to blessings that the Prophet himself pointed us towards. He raised his hands and asked Allah to grant barakah for his ummah in the mornings. That dua is not just a historical statement, it is a timeless truth. When the Messenger of Allah, the most beloved to Allah, made that prayer, it was a divine invitation to every believer who wakes up at dawn. Here is a door of blessing, enter it before it closes. To ignore it is not just to miss an opportunity. It is to turn away from a gift that has been personally requested for you by the Prophet of Allah. Think for a moment about the weight of that dua. When he asked Allah for barakah in the mornings, he was not asking for it to be in the middle of the night or late in the afternoon. He specifically chose the morning, those hours after Fajr when the day is fresh, when hearts are alive, when minds are clear. He knew through divine guidance that this time carries a special power. That is why he encouraged his companions to begin their tasks early. That is why trade, journeys, studies, and even moments of reflection were often started in the mornings. They lived with an awareness that the morning is not just another part of the day, it is a sacred window where Allah pours His blessings in abundance. But today, how often do we see people sleeping that time away? How often do we hear someone say, "I'll just get another hour of rest," and in doing so, they miss the very barakah the Prophet prayed for? The truth is, when you sleep unnecessarily after Fajr, you are not just resting, you are walking away from treasures Allah has placed at your doorstep. Imagine someone giving you a chest of gold every morning, and instead of collecting it, you turn your back and go back to sleep. Would you not call that person foolish? And yet, the barakah of Allah is far more valuable than any gold or wealth, but it slips away quietly when we neglect it. Barakah is not something you can always see with your eyes. It is a subtle blessing that multiplies your time, your energy, your wealth, your knowledge, and your efforts. You may complete in 1 hour with barakah what others cannot achieve in a whole day. You may see doors of ease open for you while others struggle for years. You may feel a tranquility in your heart while others drown in stress. This is the secret of barakah, and it has been tied directly to the mornings. The Prophet understood this, and that is why his dua was not just for productivity, but for divine increase, for unseen blessings that follow the believer who honors the morning. Consider how even in nature, Allah shows us this truth. The sun rises and gives light and warmth. The birds rise early, filling the skies with their calls, seeking their sustenance. The world itself begins its rhythm in the morning, and everything flows in harmony. When you rise with that flow, when you align your heart and body with the rhythm Allah has placed in creation, you experience barakah. When you resist it, when you choose heedlessness over awareness, you cut yourself off from that current of blessing. My brothers and sisters, the companions of the Prophet lived this reality. They valued their mornings because they knew what was hidden in them. They set out early for their work, for their journeys, for their worship, and they found success. There are narrations of how even their businesses flourished when they honored the morning. Today, we seek success in shortcuts, in staying up late and sleeping in chasing hours of the night instead of the blessings of the dawn. But success in the eyes of Allah has never changed. It is still in the same place the Prophet pointed to, the mornings. When you wake after Fajr and you engage in Quran, in dhikr, in seeking knowledge, or even in your daily tasks with the remembrance of Allah in your heart, you are living in the Prophet's dua. You are walking under the rain of blessings that he asked Allah to pour down for his ummah. This is not something to be taken lightly. This is an inheritance, a gift, a secret passed down to us. The Prophet did not just leave us with words, he left us with keys. And one of the greatest keys to barakah is found in what you choose to do after Fajr. Yes, there are times when sleep is needed, and Islam gives space for that. The sunnah of Qaylulah, the midday nap, shows us that rest has its place. But notice that the Prophet did not place the barakah in sleeping after Fajr. He placed it in the morning hours of wakefulness. He separated the wisdom of rest from the blessing of activity. To confuse the two is to deprive ourselves of balance. Allah does not want us to burn out, but He also does not want us to waste. He wants us to live in harmony with His guidance, and His guidance is clear. Mornings carry blessings, do not waste them. Think of the countless du'as you could make in those quiet hours when the world is still. Think of the Quran you could recite, the knowledge you could gain, the family you could guide, the sustenance you could seek. Each of these is a doorway to barakah, and when you choose to turn away, you close those doors before they even open. But when you step into them, Allah places a light in your life that cannot be explained in numbers or schedules. It is a light of the heart, a light of ease, a light of contentment that follows you long after the morning has passed. So let us ask ourselves honestly, how many mornings have we wasted? How many opportunities of barakah have we let slip through our hands? And yet, Allah in His mercy continues to give us new mornings, new chances, new doors. As long as you wake to see the light of dawn, it is not too late. You can still honor the dua of the Prophet. You can still claim your share of barakah. You can still choose to live with the blessings Allah has placed at your doorstep. Do not think that small steps do not matter. Even sitting after Fajr for a few minutes of dhikr, even reading a short surah, even whispering your needs to Allah in dua, can change your entire day. That is the power of barakah. It multiplies what seems small until it becomes great. It takes what seems ordinary and fills it with extraordinary blessing. It turns routine mornings into sacred moments, and it turns weak hearts into strong ones. Closing line, may Allah make us from those who honor the Prophet's dua, who awaken to his blessings, and who live our mornings in the light of barakah. My beloved brothers and sisters, there is a moment after Fajr when the world feels quiet, when the rush of life has not yet begun, when the light of dawn is still spreading across the sky. In that stillness, if you choose to remain awake, something profound begins to happen. Your heart finds a chance to connect deeply with Allah. Your tongue remembers Him without distraction. Your soul begins to taste a sweetness that cannot be compared to anything of this world. This is not an ordinary time, it is a sacred time, a time of awakening, where the believer draws closer to his Lord in a way that sets the tone for the entire day. When you remain awake after Fajr, you give yourself the gift of presence. You sit in remembrance, and every word of dhikr polishes the heart. You whisper the names of Allah, and each name settles into your soul like a soothing balm. You recite the Quran, and those verses sink into you, filling you with light, filling you with clarity, filling you with strength. The morning after Fajr is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant then will grow throughout your day. If you plant the seeds of dhikr, you will reap peace. If you plant the seeds of Quran, you will reap guidance. If you plant the seeds of dua, you will reap doors of ease opening in ways you never imagined. Remaining awake after Fajr is not just about discipline, it is about awakening. It is about refusing to let your soul slip back into heedlessness. It is about telling yourself, this morning belongs to Allah and I will not waste it. In those quiet hours, you will feel something extraordinary. The heaviness of the world begins to lift, the worries that weighed you down begin to soften, and the sweetness of faith begins to rise in your heart. This sweetness is not tasted by the tongue, but by the soul. It is the sweetness of knowing that you are connected to Allah while the world sleeps. Think of how the angels witness the prayer of Fajr. Think of how Allah boasts to His angels about the servants who rise at dawn. And then, when you remain awake, you are continuing in that state of honor. You are continuing in that state of connection. This is why the scholars spoke about the light on the faces of those who guard their mornings. Their hearts were alive, their tongues were moist with remembrance, their souls were awake. They carried an inner radiance that came not from wealth, not from power, but from the secret moments they spent with Allah in the early hours. My brothers and sisters, the world will always tempt you to sleep away these hours. Shaitan whispers, just rest a little longer, you can make dhikr later, you can read Quran later. But later never comes, the opportunity is lost and the sweetness slips away. That is why it is a test of faith to remain awake. It is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. The Prophet said that the 2 rakahs of Sunnah before Fajr are better than the world and everything in it. If those Sunnah prayers carry such weight, imagine the value of the remembrance, the dua, and the connection you build after Fajr. There is something about the early morning that sharpens the mind and softens the heart. When you remember Allah then, the remembrance stays with you. When you make dua then, it carries a sincerity that is harder to find later in the day when distractions surround you. When you reflect on your life then, you see more clearly what matters and what does not. The soul tastes faith in its purest form when the world is quiet and only the voice of Hikr fills the air. This is the awakening that every believer longs for, the awakening that reminds you that you are more than flesh and bone. You are a soul that craves Allah. So many people complain of emptiness, of restlessness, of stress that never leaves them. They chase peace in wealth, in entertainment, in relationships, but they do not find it. The peace they long for is hidden in these moments after Fajr. It is hidden in sitting with the Quran as the dawn breaks. It is hidden in raising your hands in dua when the day is still fresh. It is hidden in allowing your tongue to repeat Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, until your heart feels light. That is where the sweetness is. That is where the awakening begins. The companions of the Prophet cherished this time. They would sit after Fajr until the sun rose, remembering Allah, reciting Quran, engaging their hearts in worship. They understood the value of this awakening. They knew that to waste it was to waste a treasure. That is why they were people of strength, people of clarity, people of purpose. They built their days on the foundation of mornings filled with remembrance. If you want to taste what they tasted, if you want to feel what they felt, then do as they did. Guard the hours after Fajr, and even if you cannot spend the entire morning, start with a little. Start with 5 minutes of Quran. Start with a few du'as from the heart. Start with reflection on Allah's blessings. Even that small effort will bring sweetness. Even that small effort will awaken your soul. Over time, you will find that your heart longs for these moments, that you crave the peace they bring, that you cannot imagine starting your day without them. That is the sign that your soul has tasted faith, and once it has tasted it, it will never be satisfied with anything else. This is why remaining awake after Fajr is not a burden, it is a blessing. It is not deprivation, it is nourishment. It is not about denying yourself rest, it is about giving your soul what it truly needs. Your body may crave sleep, but your soul craves Allah, and when you choose Allah in those moments, He fills you with a strength that makes the rest of your day lighter, brighter, more purposeful. That is the secret of the sweetness of faith. It is found in the quiet mornings, in the remembrance after Fajr, in the connection that awakens your heart. Closing line, may Allah awaken our hearts after Fajr, fill our tongues with His remembrance, and allow our souls to taste the sweetness of faith every morning of our lives. My beloved brothers and sisters, Allah in His mercy did not create us as beings who never tire, who never rest, who never need a pause. He created us with hearts that need reflection, bodies that need nourishment, and minds that need moments of calm. In His perfect wisdom, He placed balance in everything. Islam does not forbid rest. It teaches us how to rest with wisdom, when to rest with purpose, and why to rest in a way that nourishes both body and soul. This is where the sunnah of the midday nap, the Qaylulah, comes to us as a mercy, a teaching, a reminder that rest is not an escape from responsibility, but a tool to strengthen us for worship and for life. Many people misunderstand this balance. Some believe that after Fajr, the best way to find rest is to fall back asleep. But in reality, that is when Allah has placed barakah. That is when His Prophet made dua for blessings upon the Ummah. To close your eyes at that time is to miss a treasure. Islam offers us instead a wiser path, to honor the morning, to taste its blessings, to carry its light, and then, when the midday comes, to allow ourselves a short rest to recharge. This is the sunnah, and it shows us that Allah never burdens us beyond our capacity. He knows our limits, He knows our needs, and He has guided us with balance so that we may live in harmony. The Qaylulah was not just a cultural habit of Arabia. It was practiced by the Prophet and recommended as a means to regain energy, to prepare for worship, and to maintain health. It was a way to strengthen the believer, not to make him lazy. A short nap at midday allows the body to rest, the mind to refresh, and the soul to prepare for the late night prayer, for Qiyam al-Layl, for standing before Allah when the world is asleep. You see, even in the rhythm of our sleep, Islam teaches us to prioritize the connection with Allah. This sunnah rest is never about escaping the blessing of the morning. It is about preserving the strength to worship Allah with devotion throughout the day and night. Think about the wisdom in this. If you rise after Fajr, engage in remembrance, Quran, dua, and even in your daily tasks, by midday your body naturally begins to tire. Instead of pushing it to the point of exhaustion, Islam teaches you to pause. Not to waste the day, but to reset it. A short rest at that time gives you renewed energy, making your afternoon worship more focused, your dealings more productive, and your heart more at ease. This is how Allah teaches us mercy. He does not demand from us endless activity. He shows us when to strive and when to pause, when to wake and when to sleep, so that our lives are built upon balance. Contrast this with sleeping after Fajr. That rest steals from you the most blessed time of the day, the very hours where dua is answered, where Quran imprints itself upon the heart, where Allah's mercy descends in abundance. But the Qaylulah does not take from blessing. It gives you more strength to appreciate it. It allows you to maintain the rhythm of worship. It aligns with the design Allah has placed in creation itself. For even the sun at midday reaches its highest point and then begins its descent. Everything in creation has a cycle, a rise and a pause, a movement and a stillness. The sunnah rest aligns us with that divine rhythm. My brothers and sisters, we often think of productivity in worldly terms. Hours worked, tasks completed, deadlines met. But true productivity in Islam is not about endless labor. It is about using your time in the way that brings the most blessing. Sometimes that means staying awake when others sleep, and sometimes it means resting when others push on heedlessly. The believer measures his life not only by how much he does, but by how sincerely he does it, how much barakah Allah places in it, and how balanced his effort remains. The Prophet, who carried the heaviest mission of all, still rested when it was needed. And if he, the most dedicated of servants, practiced balance, then what about us? The midday nap is also a reminder of humility. It shows us that no matter how strong we think we are weak without Allah's mercy. We cannot function without rest, without pause, without sleep. Sleep itself is a sign of Allah's greatness, as He tells us in the Quran that He created sleep as a means of rest. But He also tells us that He never sleeps, that He is Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum, the ever-living, the sustainer. So every time we lay down to rest, even in the Qaylulah, it is a reminder that we are dependent on Allah, and He is independent of all. It humbles us, it grounds us, and it reminds us that our strength is not in ourselves, but in Him. And yet, let us never confuse this humility with laziness. Islam does not encourage a life of idleness, it encourages balance. That is why the Prophet warned against wasting the morning, but encouraged resting at midday. That is why he warned against sleeping excessively, but praised the one who takes rest with wisdom. Rest in Islam is not a retreat from life, but a way to gather energy to live it with purpose. The Qaylulah is not about indulgence, it is about preparation. It is not about hiding from responsibility, it is about facing it with renewed strength. So the next time you feel the pull of sleep after Fajr, remind yourself, the morning is for barakah, the midday is for rest. Let your heart embrace that balance. Begin your day with remembrance. Honor the Prophet's dua for barakah in the mornings. And then when the sun reaches its height, allow yourself that brief pause, that sunnah rest, that Qaylulah which brings you back to strength. This is how Islam preserves your energy without stealing your blessing. This is how Allah shows His mercy in the rhythm of your day. Closing line, may Allah grant us the wisdom to honor our mornings with worship, our middays with rest, and our entire lives with the balance that leads to His mercy. When a believer rises after Fajr and chooses not to return to the comfort of sleep, but instead embraces the quiet stillness of the morning, a profound transformation begins to unfold. That choice, small as it may seem, is a declaration of discipline and purpose. It is the heart saying, "I will not waste what Allah has given me. I will not let the light of this dawn slip into darkness by neglect." Every morning is a new opportunity, a sacred beginning, a fresh page on which you can write your intentions, your deeds, and your aspirations. And the first hours after Fajr are unlike any other, soft, calm, uncluttered. It is in these hours that the world is quiet, distractions are minimal, and your heart is most ready to listen. Rising at this time is not merely about productivity in the worldly sense. It is about aligning your life with divine rhythm. Discipline is born in these moments. If you can conquer the pull of your bed at dawn, you will find yourself stronger against the pulls of laziness, procrastination, and temptation throughout the day. If you can rise when your body wants rest, you will discover that your soul becomes stronger, more focused, more determined. And when your day begins with the remembrance of Allah, your actions take on meaning beyond themselves. Work is no longer just work, it is worship. Effort is no longer just struggle, it is an offering. Every step, every decision, every hour after Fajr becomes a testimony that you valued what Allah valued, that you embraced what the Prophet prayed for, that barakah be placed in the mornings of his Ummah. Think about the alternative. When one chooses to sleep away these hours, what is really being lost? It is not only time, it is clarity, peace, and opportunity. The world begins to crowd in as the hours pass, noise, duties, demands. But in the stillness after Fajr, there is no rush, no noise, no chaos. It is in this window that a believer can think clearly, plan carefully, and remember Allah sincerely. It is the most powerful time to pour your heart out in dua, to open the Quran with a fresh mind, to seek forgiveness with sincerity. How different would our lives be if these hours were embraced daily with consistency? How much barakah would enter our health, our wealth, our families, and our hearts if we guarded these mornings like treasures? When you wake after Fajr, you give yourself permission to live intentionally. You stop drifting through the day and begin steering it. Discipline becomes your compass, and purpose becomes your fuel. The Quran itself speaks of the morning recitation as being witnessed, a reminder that the angels bear witness to those who rise and recite in the stillness of dawn. To be recorded in those moments is a blessing beyond measure, but that blessing is only written for the one who rises and stays awake, who refuses to let those hours vanish into sleep. Beyond spirituality, there is also a worldly wisdom here. Those who rise early, who build habits of focus and discipline after Fajr, often find themselves ahead in their work, more efficient in their studies, and more balanced in their family life. This is not coincidence. This is the barakah of obedience and discipline. It is Allah placing blessing in time, stretching it, giving it richness and depth. What others achieve in 10 hours, a person of barakah can achieve in half. And this gift is directly connected to how you honor the early hours of your day. Think of the great scholars, leaders, and servants of Islam. Their lives were marked by discipline, by careful use of time, by valuing the morning. They understood that success is not stumbled upon but cultivated, built day after day, beginning with Fajr. They knew that if the morning was wasted, the rest of the day would carry that weight of loss. But if the morning was embraced, the rest of the day would carry that light of blessing. This is why remaining awake after Fajr is not a burden but an opportunity. It is not about depriving yourself of rest, but about enriching yourself with purpose. The sunnah itself balances this, encouraging rest later in the day with a midday nap if needed. But the morning, the post-Fajr hours, were never meant to be squandered. They were meant to be the foundation, the launchpad of discipline, growth, and connection with Allah. When you choose to rise, you are not only training your body, you are training your soul. You are reminding yourself that life is short, that time is precious, that each day is a gift that will never return. One dawn missed is gone forever, but one dawn embraced can shape a lifetime. And when those mornings pile upon each other, day after day, week after week, you build a life rooted in consistency, strength, and meaning. Let your mornings be sacred beginnings, filled with Quran, filled with dhikr, filled with gratitude, filled with intention. Let your discipline after Fajr become the reason your days feel lighter, your work more blessed, and your heart more at peace. Remember, productivity is not only about getting things done, it is about living with purpose, and the greatest purpose begins with Allah. So rise after Fajr, stay awake, and let the discipline of your mornings be the anchor of your life. When a believer makes the choice to remain awake after Fajr, it is not just about keeping their eyes open, it is about keeping their heart open. It is about trust that Allah, the one who controls all time, has placed blessing in these hours, and that His promise is truer than the comfort of an extra hour of rest. This choice becomes a form of tawakkul, where you lean not on your own strength, not on the illusion that sleep will give you more energy, but on the certainty that obedience brings barakah, and barakah is more powerful than anything this world can offer. To rise after Fajr is to declare with your actions, Ya Allah, I trust you. I believe in your promise more than I believe in my pillow. Tawakkul is often misunderstood. People think it is sitting back and expecting Allah to do everything for us. But in reality, tawakkul is to do your part, to strive with effort, and then to place complete reliance on Allah for the outcome. When you stay awake after Fajr, you are doing your part. You are showing Allah that you value His gift of time, that you value His messenger's dua for blessing in the morning. And then you trust that He will place in your day a richness that no amount of extra sleep could ever give. You trust that He will give you strength, clarity, and success, even if you feel a little tired. This is a test because the pull of the bed is strong, the warmth of sleep is inviting, and Shaitan whispers, you need this, you cannot function without it. But the believer knows that Shaitan lies and Allah never lies. The believer knows that true energy, true peace, true success comes not from hours of sleep, but from the help of Allah. How many times have we slept long hours yet woken up feeling heavy, unmotivated, and lost? And how many times have we sacrificed that extra sleep for worship or for rising early, only to find the day filled with energy and clarity that we could not explain? That is barakah. That is Allah's gift to those who trust Him. When you embrace the hours after Fajr, you are proving your reliance on Allah. You are saying, I will not put my faith in what my body demands, but in what my Creator has promised. This is a deeper level of trust than words alone can express. It is action-based trust. It is walking the path of those who believed so strongly in Allah that they prioritized Him over themselves. And that is when the doors of barakah open wide. Consider the example of the Sahaba. They were people who faced battles, journeys, and immense challenges, yet they valued the morning hours. They knew that their strength came not only from their preparation, but from their trust in Allah. They lived with the understanding that to give Allah the first hours of the day was to give themselves the best chance at success, because Allah Himself would take care of the rest. In our time, this test of trust is even clearer. Many people chase productivity by reading books, following routines, or buying tools. But the believer has been given the ultimate key, barakah in the morning. To use it requires trust. Because the world tells you, sleep in, you need it. But faith tells you, rise and Allah will take care of you. Which voice will you trust? Which promise will you hold on to, the fleeting comfort of rest or the eternal truth of Allah's blessing? This is where discipline and tawakkul come together. Discipline pushes you to rise. Tawakkul fills you with peace that the sacrifice will never be wasted. And when you witness that blessing in your day, when your tasks flow smoothly, when your heart feels light, when your du'as feel heard, you realize that Allah's promise is far greater than your doubts. That is the sweetness of faith, to see your trust rewarded in ways you did not expect. Even in the Quran, Allah reminds us that whoever relies upon Him, He is sufficient for them. Remaining awake after Fajr is one of the purest applications of this ayah. You rely upon Allah with your time, with your energy, with your morning, and He becomes sufficient for you. He becomes your strength when you feel weak, your clarity when your mind is clouded, your success when your efforts fall short. Trust also means believing that Allah knows what is best for you, even when you do not. To think that you will gain more by disobeying Him or by neglecting what He has blessed is a deception. Trust means surrender. Trust means, I will follow your way, Ya Allah, even when my desires pull me elsewhere, because I believe that you know better. And in that surrender is true freedom, because it frees you from being enslaved to your comfort and makes you a servant of the Most Merciful. The test of trust is not easy. It requires sacrifice, and sacrifice always feels heavy at first. But what is heavy at the beginning becomes light with practice, and what feels like a loss becomes a gain so great that you will one day wonder how you ever wasted your mornings in heedlessness. Allah does not take from you except to give you something better. If He asks you to let go of the comfort of sleep, it is only because He wants to replace it with the richness of barakah. So the next time Fajr is prayed and your bed calls you back, remember this. It is not just sleep you are choosing, it is trust you are placing. Ask yourself, do I trust my bed more than my Lord? Do I believe the warmth of this pillow more than the promise of Allah? And if your heart says, I trust Allah, then rise, remain awake, and taste the blessing that comes from choosing Him over yourself. Trust Allah with your mornings, and He will take care of your entire day. May Allah grant you strength to rise with trust, to live with purpose, and to embrace the barakah of every morning. Until we meet again, stay connected to Allah, never lose hope in His mercy, and keep your mornings alive with remembrance. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.